Hello everyone, I'm Tommy and welcome back to StudioScents. Welcome to the locker room. Today we're going to be talking about some interesting flavors of fragrance. Now I'll preface this video by saying I don't like to give hate to any fragrance. Like the good book says, there's a time and a place for everything under the sun. No, I'm not talking about chicken soup for the soul. I'm talking about the Notebook. No, I'm kidding. There's a maxim that says there's a head for every hat, there's a butt for every seat, there's a place for every fragrance, I believe. Having said that, if you've ever been in a situation where you have blind bought a fragrance, you got it home, you busted the cellophane off, opened the box, popped the top off, sprayed the atomizer, and you're like, that is gross. That's not at all what I thought it would be. That's disgusting. You are in good company. It happens to everyone. Everyone has blind bought a fragrance that they have not turned out to like very much. That is what Secret Santa was made for. That's what regifting was made for. That's what eBay was made for. That's what in-laws were made for. So today I'm going to be talking about 5 blind buys that I wish I hadn't. So let's get right into it. As I've said in past videos, I don't always recommend blind buying. I mean, if you've got the money to blow, you know, the disposable income, and you want to dispose of it, by all means. It doesn't become a big deal until you get over that ticket item that's 20 bucks or more, and then it's a consideration as to whether or not you want to spend this on something that you know nothing about. It's like that blind date. Do I really want to take a chance? Number 1 on my list, and I know I'm going to get a fair bit of flack for this, is Jupe Homme. Jupe is a classic fragrance, yes. And I mean no offense, but Jupe smells like ass. And even if smelling like ass were in vogue, I would not wear Jupe. Featuring notes like orange blossom, mandarin orange, jasmine, cardamom, cinnamon, sandalwood, tonka bean, patchouli, and vanilla, you would think that it would smell great. That's a treasure trove. It's a cornucopia of really good popular notes. But that just proves that the blend is what really matters, not necessarily the notes themselves. I'm not sure how they successfully use good ingredients to a bad outcome, but Jupe is proof that it can be done. Now I will say this, if you are a fan of really sweet men's fragrances like Jean-Paul Gaultier's Le Male, then you might like Jupe. It is sweet. I like JPG Le Male, to be quite honest, much more than this. I'm not a hater of sweet notes. This is just too sweet for me. So, wish I hadn't. Next on the list for me is Nautica Blue. Nautica Blue to me is so generic, it just makes my mind fizz out. In fact, that should be the name of it, is fizzed out. Because it really doesn't do anything new or challenge, and it doesn't even really do what it does very well. So it's mediocre all the way across the board, featuring notes like pineapple, bergamot, peach, jasmine, water lily. I think there's sandalwood in here, there's musk, there's cedar, there's yawn. Again, some really good notes in here, but definitely not used to their full potential or even to a great potential. At first, this fragrance smells pleasant enough, but like last night at a basketball game, I told my wife, well, the girls' basketball team is really doing good. And she was like, compared to what? Meaning that my scale was really substandard or subpar in terms of comparison. Really compared to anything else, this pales in comparison, and again, kind of fizzes out in a completely droll and boredom level, borderline comatose. So it's not that bad, okay, but in terms of the money that I spent on this, it wasn't a great amount. You can pick this up seriously on the cheap, well under 20 bucks, especially online and even at retailers. This has been kicked around so often and bandied around. It's on everyone's shelf. As you can see, I've not used much of the juice. I just think there's so many more alternatives out there that are so much better. When I blind bought this, I was expecting it to be really, really good because I have Nautica Voyage. Based on Voyage, this is completely boring. If you have to have a Nautica fragrance, get Nautica Voyage or Nautica Voyage Sport. But Voyage is definitely the best of the Nauticas. You ever pull into a gas station or a grocery store or pull into anywhere and you see that car sitting there? And you know what car I mean? That car that looks so old that it predates the Mayflower. That car that has every nook and cranny filled with some kind of human trash or detritus. It could be the detritus mobile. Oh, and also it has every single garbage pail kid ever collected roundabout through all of the windows. And you know they've been in there for a while. They're all sun faded. Why do I bring this up? This next fragrance smells like what I think the headrest in that vehicle might smell like. And that is Oscar de la Renta pour Louis Fresh. The word fresh. Fresh from the oven, fresh now. It gets so misused. I'm not feeling fresh today. Such a misused and abused word. It's almost like the word love. In commerce and marketing, but we really don't know what it is when it comes to certain things. This fragrance is definitely not fresh. Now the original Pour Louis is a very nice, darker, woody, oriental fragrance, and I really do like it. This is not like that at all. It's almost like you take all the goods out of it, and you just put saccharin in it. This is a saccharin version of Pour Louis. Pour Louis smells like what I think that headrest in that car might smell like. Old cigarettes and angst. Leather and despair. It also sounds like an 80s producer who made music for documentaries about depression that nobody watched. Trying to be aquatic with watery notes, ending up smelling more like waterlogged and watered down. Fragrance that's been done and done and done again and done and done and overdone. And so there's absolutely nothing new and nice and introspective and fresh about this. It is a basic, extremely generic smelling fragrance. Easily forgotten. In fact, it's forgotten before you even smell it. It's completely gone. I wish that I had not blind bought this. Next up on the list is Ferragamo Pour Homme. Do you notice a pattern there? Anything with pour in it. As you can see, this has like a little belt on it, which makes it seem kind of cool. The presentation is kind of cool. I like the bottle, but the smell is, again, completely forgettable. It was a blind buy that I thought, hey, I've got other Ferragamo products. In fact, Ferragamo Black is a really good fragrance. There have been some that have said that this is better than Ferragamo Black. Don't believe it. It's definitely not. This is it's actually kind of an older, more mature kind of smell, semi-barbershop-y, but I'm talking about like early 70s barbershop, not the good kind of barbershop, but it does in some way smell like a post-2010 fragrance as well. So again, not the best blind buy. It does feature some cool notes of lavender and apple. There's only one mid note, that's black pepper. We go down into the base where there's labdanum, leather, and amber. So it's got some really cool notes, but again, these all highlight the fact that the blend is the thing. It's not necessarily to the notes. After all, you can get engine parts anywhere, but what kind of car are those parts going to make? Is it going to make a car that's you're always going to have issues with, or is it going to make a vehicle that you'll never have to fix or spend money on because it's high quality? Not necessarily high quality especially on the ingredients on these. I really wanted to like this because I'm a big fan of apple notes. Chemical Reaction is one of my favorite apple fragrances. This is not anything like those, unfortunately. Last on my list, and I'm not going to talk about this for a while because it should be self-evident, is Adidas. This particular fragrance is called Moves Him, and it did not move me. In fact, it moved me to move this out of my fragrance rotation. Would it be okay if you're in a locker room like this and you're taking a shower and you reach for something and everything else is empty, everything else is gone, suddenly it's the zombie apocalypse? No, I still would not wear this. I would still prefer the smell of angst, sweat, blood, and tears to Adidas Moves Him. Now, they're not here, but they do warrant a notable mention, is anything Axe aftershave. I don't know what Axe is using as a binder or a base, but I've bought like 4 or 5 of them, all the different flavors, and I've had to return all of them. They're awful. There's something very astringent, vitriolic, and bitter in them. I don't like them at all. So just forewarning, you don't want to buy anything Axe related in terms of aftershave, which I'm not a big fan of aftershave anymore. It works counter to your fragrance, and there's a synergy that's not good there, like they butt heads. So I don't use aftershave anymore. I just go straight for the fragrance or the cologne. Eau de toilette or eau de parfum. Another honorable mention is Calvin Klein's Contradiction for Men. When I originally bought this, it was a blind buy. I took it out of the box. It's got a nice hefty weight to it. And I was like, whoa, that must be all glass. But then it looks like this. And of course you're thinking, okay, there must be, who knows what's underneath that. So you pull it off and of course it's all glass. I guess that's the contradiction. You know, you've got something that looks like metal and then voila, it's glass. But the smell, I don't know. It's just very much my dad's Old Spice aftershave. Not knocking Old Spice. The real Old Spice is quality stuff. This is like a knockoff of Old Spice or some other older aqua watery related fragrance. Not good enough for a blind buy. Sorry, contradiction. It is a contradiction in terms, not only in its presentation, but also in its fragrant that smell. Well, that's it for me. As I said, you probably have your own list. If you want to mention those in the comments below, make sure to like and subscribe also on this video. Hit the bell icon so that you get new content notifications. But please, I'd like to hear your lists as well. If you have anything that you regret buying, mention here, because if we can create awareness in the community, we won't waste those dollars. We can take those dollars, we can save them up, and we can use them to purchase really good quality fragrances that we don't look back on in regret, but we're very happy that we've done so. Make the right decision. Don't recommend blind buying. It happens on occasion. Got a few dollars burning a hole in your pocket, and you see a fragrance for relatively inexpensively. It's easy to grab it, pick it up, but then you may have that regret later on, just as I have just minimum 5 times here. I'm sure I've got a few more. So I'll do another list like this in the future and keep you updated on that. Thank you so much for spending some time with me today. I really appreciate your support. I'm Tommy with StudioScents, and I'll see you next time.